Hello, Kirk here. I'd like to do another little cartridge talk tonight and talk about a round that another one of these rounds that's kind of near and dear to my heart that I've enjoyed playing with over the years. And this one's got a kind of interesting backstory because I ended up with dies for the thing before I got the barrel. And when I got the dies, I really wasn't intending on buying a barrel for my contender, the single shot pistol rifle kind of thing that I got going that I really enjoy. The round that I want to talk about, if you notice the moniker, is the 219 zipper. Now, what is a 219 zipper? Well, in 1936 or so, 1937, Winchester designed this round to go in their Model 64 lever gun. They basically took a 25-35 and necked it down and trimmed it back. So if you compare this, which is a 219 zipper, to a 730 Waters, which basically is a 30-30 case or a 25-35 case neck to 7, whereas the 219 zipper is the same case with a different shoulder, more like the 25-35 sloping shoulder, neck to 22.224. Difference is the 30-30, 25-35, and all that are at 2.05, I believe, and the 219 zipper is at 1.95. So it's a wee bit shorter. The 2.105? I'll have to look that up. I can't remember. But anyway, the 219 zipper is slightly shorter, 195. I don't know why they did that, but they did. And they chambered in, like I said, in the Model 64. It also got chambered in the 336 Marlin, which to me was a better fit because it's flat top. You can put a scope on it more easily. The 94 is a top eject. It's before the angle eject Model 94s from the 80s and 90s. So where does this thing fit in? What does it do? Well, if you take the 22 Hornet, you're at 2600 feet a second. You take the 219 zipper, you're at the 3150 mark. And I don't have one, but Winchester also, the cartridge that makes me scratch my head about the 219 zipper, is the 220 Swift came out a couple of years before in Winchester bolt guns, and it'll push a 55 grain bullet over 3,500 feet a second. You know, I mean, it's for its day. It was screaming. And so nowadays, you can take with modern powders and make the 219 zipper go several hundred feet a second faster. I think some of the load data for the 50 grainers is in the 3,500s. And the 220 Swift's the same way. I mean, you can get 4,000 feet a second out of the 220 Swift nowadays with some bullets. So, you know, powders have gotten better, things have gotten better, the technology's gotten better. But still the fact of the matter is they chambered this in a lever gun, which makes me scratch my head. It did sire some other cartridges like the 219 Donaldson Wasp, which was a very fantastic and very well thought, beloved bench rest cartridge back in the 1950s. They basically shortened it, give it a modern shoulder, so it had a nice shoulder to it, so it didn't grow forward as fast. Much more modern looking cartridge. You think about that. They came out with the 220 Swift, which had a much more modern cartridge look to it. There was the 30-06. It had a much more modern cartridge look to it. You take the 730 Waters. It has a much more modern cartridge look to it. They brought out the 219 zipper. Not so modern looking. Why didn't they blow this shoulder out to something more like this, give it a little bit more powder volume, make it a little bit more modern? The brass won't grow as much. I don't know. I don't know what their reasoning was for it. But it is what it is. That's what they came out with. Now, what kind of performance did I get out of it? And let's do the backstory first before I talk about performance. Probably late 90s, I went to a garage sale and bought a box of stuff from the lady who had the garage sale, and she wanted $50 for the box of stuff, and I gave her a little bit more than that because I thought, look, there's bullets, there's molds, there's a lube press, there's all kinds of stuff in here, and it's just a rat's nest inside this thing. So I give her, I think, $100. You know, I said, I know, I can see the bullets in here. It's worth $100. I'll give you $100. So I got it home, started unpacking it, and there literally was probably 800 and 900 bullets, and 22 and 24 and 30, and he was eating some 375s in there. And this guy had evidently had a 375 Weatherby, because I found some 375 H&H brass in there that had been reformed to a 300 Weatherby. So I'm like, okay. Well, also in there was a set of 300 Savage dies. There was a set of 244 Remington dies, 6mm Remington later on. And there was a set of 22 Savage high-power dies, and the 219 zipper dies, along with some bullet molds and some ancient reloading equipment that I'm probably going to drag out into a video on, because it's kind of cool. Some stuff that was available late 1800s, early 1900s for rounds. It's just kind of cool. I mean, this is pre-modern reloading press stuff. This is the stuff they were using. So I'm probably going to do some of that. So I ended up getting that box of stuff, got the 219 zipper dies. So about 2 or 3 months later, I'm sitting here at 11 o'clock at night or so, perusing on eBay on the internet, and I find that in the contender barrel section of Fleabay, there is a 219 zipper barrel with about an hour left on its auction. And I'm thinking, I got some 219 zipper dies. How much do they want for this? It was only like at $150 something. I said, let's put $250, $275 on it. I think I put $275 on it and walked away from it. And the next morning when I got up, I had one thing for like $235. So I got one of probably, I don't know, somebody said there was like 3,000 of them made back in the late 80s, early 90s in 219 zipper. They made a run of them. Well, I have one. So I took it and took some 30-30 cases and formed them, and I could tell the neck walls were real thick, but okay. So I went to one of the local sporting goods places and that still had some reloading supplies, and they had 225 35 cases. I'm thinking that's the ticket. So I got 225 35 cases. That's more than I'll ever use. So I started forming cases out of it, forming them down, and I said, how do you form a 219 zipper? Well, since I didn't have any 219 zipper form dies, but I did have a set of 6mm Remington dies, and I had those 244 dies. But I took the 6mm Remington cedar die and started the neck down, and then ran the 6mm Remington seating die down a little more. Then I took the 219 zipper seating die and pushed it down a little more, and then I took the full length 219 zipper die and sized the case. So once I got the case sized, I measured it, and I took my RCBS case trimmer and trimmed it to 1.95. And then I loaded it up and fire formed it, and then trimmed it again after I had sized it again. So it grew a little bit, but not a whole lot. So what kind of performance was I getting out of this stuff? I was actually kind of surprised. I was not surprised. I was thinking, okay, it's old. Load data is hard. I got some Sierra data. I got some Hornady data. I got a copy of Ken Waters Pet Loads data for the 219 zipper from a friend of mine, Charlie Sharps, and loaded up, used some of that data I had with powders that they listed, powders that I had, powders I could find. Not much on new powders right now, but I found a couple places got some newer data, but I haven't had a chance to work with it. Been sticking to Iremore powders, Iremore, 3031, 4895, 4064. Those work. I mean, those are traditional powders that you use in the 730 waters, 3030, and the 219 zipper. That's the kind of class powders that it likes. So I was able to I actually got a box and a half of factory ammo with the barrel. And this stuff was old. I'm talking about 40s or 50s. So I shot one of the 55 grain hollow points out of the zipper barrel, and surprisingly, it went about 2,500 feet a second. So I'm thinking, I lost 10 inches of barrel. This is supposed to be 3,100 feet a second out of a 26, 27 inch barrel, whatever it was. And now it's clocked back to 25. So I lost 600 feet a second. Okay, but the ammo is like from the 1940s, and this is in the 1990s, earlier 2000s. So like, yeah, so it's 50-year-old ammo, and it's not, you know, the best ammo in the world because of the age, but still 500 feet a second off, 600 feet a second off. If I was losing 25 feet a second of barrel, I'd be losing, you know, 250 feet a second. So I lost double what you figure you would. Okay. So I took and started working up loads. Before it was over with, I was able to get a 40 grain VMAX to go 3,000 feet a second of that thing. And I could have done a little bit more. I was also able to get a 50 grainer to run in the high 27s. And I was able to get a 55 to run in the high 26s, low 27s. So 50 grainer is, to me, the bullet for this round. If I can get 2750, 2775 out of a 50 grain bullet, out of a 14-inch barrel handgun, I'm happy with that. The 223, 222 really doesn't do a whole lot more than that, even at the higher pressure. It does a little bit more. The 223 does, but you're talking about the 223 is running at 55,000 psi, whereas the 219 zipper is running at 40 something, 45, 46,000 psi. So you're not near as hot, and the loads I'm loading are not, you know, full throttle. I loaded some stuff, tried to go a little bit full throttle on them, and I could see the pressure signs back off. So I backed off and, you know, keep it safe. I mean, there's no need to hot rod it. I mean, if I need more power, I'll use a bigger round. But it's fun. I mean, I really think the round has got a neat thing to it. I got enough 25, 35 cases. I can make all of them that I'll probably ever need. I think I've shot it like 350, 400 times since I've got it. And I've been, you know, pleased with the accuracy. I've got a 2x7 scope on top of it. So it's, you know, plinking at 100 yards is just fun. And I like the rim rounds. I've said this before to people. If I'm going to be shooting a contender, I want a rim. I mean, I've got rimless rounds. I got 6.5 TCU. I've got, you know, 223. I've got, you know, other rounds that are rimless. But to me, for doing what I do, the rimmed rounds just work better in the single shots. So I like it. I mean, I think the 219 zipper, yeah, okay, think about it. They brought it out and started developing it, brought it out in 37, 38. A couple of years before, they had developed the 220 Swift, which was a big gun. I mean, that would be a magnum gun. You know, it's more powerful than most of the other 22s out there. The 220 Swift is more powerful than the, you know, the 22 250 by a little bit. You know, so I mean, it's the king of the hill pretty much for most of the 22s. Whereas the 219 zipper would be right in the middle of the pack. I mean, it's still a good round as far as ballistics go. But when you put a high performance 22 centerfire in a lever gun, except for the 336, they did make it in the 336. They made those, you know, around 60, 61, 62. I think they quit. The last, according to what I heard, the last of the Model 64s in 219 zipper came out in 58 or so. Round was introduced in 37, 38. It was gone by 1963. So it's a hand loaders only perspective, just like the 730 Waters is, which I think the 730 Waters should not just be a hand loading perspective. I think it's a good enough round to continue, especially with, if you put one of the you know, Lever Revolution soft pointy bullets in it. I think it would do a great job in a lever gun for modern shooters. 219 zipper, not so much. I think that it's been overshadowed. I mean, it won't do anything really that the 223 or the 22 250 will not do. Aesthetically, it's kind of cool because it's got a rim on it. If you got a 64, that's a cool rifle. And a single shot, it's a great rifle. It sired a nice cartridge. The 219 Donaldson Wasp was a great bench rest cartridge in the 1950s. But I think its day has come and gone. It's a neat round to play with. I like it, and I think I'm going to keep shooting it. Well, I hope you guys have a marvelous evening. We'll talk to you later on the next version of Cartridge Talks.